be more than human. Hello and welcome back to the channel, all my sci-fi and fantasy fanatics out there. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today we are going to do my first top 10 series of all time list. This is my kind of like my year anniversary on BookTube here. And last year, I just didn't feel like I had enough books under my belt to do a full top 10 list. So last year I did a top 5 series, and then over the last 365 days, I have read the most books ever. Like probably last year I read more books than I have in like a 3-year span. I mean, I was running through books. So I feel confident in myself in the amount of books and the amount of series that I've, started and finished and caught up with. That I'm confident I can make a top 10 list and feel solid about it. So let's start off here with a couple honorable mentions. And actually, one of these honorable mentions was in my top 5 last year. It was actually number 5. But it's kind of gotten bumped and bumped and bumped off the list as I've reread some series and read some new series. And the first honorable mention is Malazan. Now, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I've had a rocky relationship with Malazan. And, it might be one of those. Yeah, and the reason why I'm giving it an honorable mention is because I feel like it's one of those it's me, not you type things. Because it's a great book series. It really is one of the best. After reading the first 3 and going into the 4th, and then I don't know. I think at some point I'll give it another try. But right now, we'll say I know it's a great series and it should be mentioned in these type of conversations. And then the other honorable mention that almost made my list. There's only 2 books out, but it's The Empire of the Wolf, and that's Justice of Kings and Tyranny of Faith. Unless we just have some other really great series pop up, which is very possible, with how good this year was. When the third one hits, it's probably gonna break into the top 10. They are amazing books, and Richard is a great storyteller. So those are their honorable mentions, and so now we'll kind of break into the top 10. I'll try not to. I'm not gonna go over too much with these because it'll end up being like a freaking crazy long video. So on to number 10. And that is Sandman Slim by Richard Kadrey. Now, starting off my list here, I'm only one book away from being caught up, and from finishing. And this is a book series that has really high highs, and then I wouldn't say that they drop off the bottom of the cliff or anything, but there's definitely it's definitely a little bit of jump throughout the series. But Stark, Sandman Slim, is a great character. He definitely evolves over time. And one thing I'll say, the other characters don't evolve a ton, but Sandman definitely does. And if you like fast-paced action, not crazy long books, especially in the beginning, the first like 4 books, 5 books, not a lot of censoring. He pretty hardcore, and then he kind of tones and Roger Catter even said that he kind of toned it down to be in with the times in the last few books. But that's number 10 there. And then next one, number 9, is The Rising by Brian King. Now, The Rising there's only 2 books in the main series, but then there's a bunch of little branch off stories. Lazarus, Tales from the End of the World, and just a bunch of other little ones. And this is a kind of, it's a zombie sci-fi, urban fantasy series, horror. This is what Brian King is mainly known for, and I cannot sing the praises of The Rising enough. It pulls at your heartstrings. It's super graphic, violent. If you're looking for that, but also just underneath it all, especially you get to that second book, all that stuff is still there, but the ripping at your heartstrings. It's a father trying to find his son in basically a post-apocalyptic world, and as the world falls apart, he's trying to go across country basically to find his son, and it is a gripping tale. Let me tell you. Always will be pushing this for more people to read. And on to number 8. And this would be Murderbot by Martha Wells. And this is a new series that I didn't start until I was, on BookTube here. And the funny thing about Murderbot is I was not a fan of the first book. All Systems Red, Daniel Green and so many others are like, oh, this is transcendent. This is unlike anything else. And I will say it was really unlike anything else that I read. But I really, I just didn't like the character. It's weird. I didn't like Murderbot. I didn't like, the type of person it was portraying. It's kind of the new age, like, lazy worker type thing, but over the novellas, I think I am two. I think I got the full book, and then I got so I'm 2 or 3 behind, but they're short, so I'll knock them out quick. But yeah, there was a kernel in All Systems Red. And I was like, please, they're short. I'll give you a chance. Hopefully you latch onto that and just expand it. And that's exactly what she did. She grabbed what intrigued me about the story and just expanded it. And that's why Murderbot finds its place at number 8. And on to the next one. Number 7. Now, First Law is, one of those that's held in high regard. Joe Abercrombie, Lord Grimdark himself, and I, at first, the first book, I really liked it, but I wasn't sold. I wasn't sold on what everybody was saying about it, but. Yeah, you get into that second book, and then by the third book, at first, I thought, so many people talked about Galacta, and I was like, he's so overrated. Really? And by the third book, I was like, okay, you got me. You guys were right. Galacta is awesome. And Logan Nine Fingers, the Bloody Nine, is amazing. I love every time he goes into the Bloody Nine. That's, amazing. But, there's a lot. I actually think the First Law is a little bit even deeper than a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, oh, this is just, grimdark, but I really like the inner dialogue. I think I think Joe might have the best inner dialogue of any author that I've ever read. All right, we're starting to creep up here. So on to the next one.
Number 6.
The Dark Tower. The Dark Tower was actually, I believe I had it as my number 4 last year. And it's fallen a little bit, but still, number 6 is not bad. I believe that it is Stephen King's magnus opus, his best. I mean, some people might put The Stand, some people might say The Shining, other people might say It, but I feel like The Dark Tower as a whole, is his best work. Because he brings it all together. Every type of fantasy, sci-fi you could possibly think of, horror elements, he puts it all together within the Dark Tower. And the Dark Tower is still one of my favorites of all time. I haven't reviewed these because we actually did when I first started on here. If any of you are OG members, OG subscribers, which you should subscribe if you like this kind of content, you like these type of books, this is what I'm bringing you here. But we did live discussions, and I was on other people's channels, and they were back on mine, and then we finished them out on my channel. Dark Tower. Definitely going to be doing a reread at some point, maybe this year, and I'll get these out to you. All right, so number
5
is Red Rising, and this is I just started this like 2 months ago, and I only have I think Dark Age is left. Yeah, you guys were hitting me with read Red Rising for months, and then I couldn't let it go, and I just ran through them. And if I do a top 10, or when I do a top 10 book list for the first time, I assure you a Red Rising book is going to be making its appearance on that list as well. Pierce Brown is amazing. I thought this is one of those books where I really thought the hype was gonna be too much, but it's such an addictive book series, and Pierce Brown maybe better than anybody makes you hate characters so bad, which is the best. All right. And into
number 4.
Cradle. And if you guys are following my channel, Cradle along with Dresden really took over my channel. I mean, Cradle more than anything just took over, and it's probably the most addictive book series I've ever read. Michael Knipp is the one that really got me on it. I was watching his videos, and he quoted it as the crack cocaine of fantasy, and it definitely is. It is. They're all short books, all under. I would say they're all under 350 pages, and it's a progression fantasy series, but you just really, he does it perfectly. He doesn't like OP the characters, and then and he mixes in a little bit of sci-fi in with it, and and I'm one of those people. I fell away from anime as an adult. I loved Dragon Ball Z and all that good stuff. But just as I got old, as I kind of just got away from it, and then my best friend loves anime, and anytime he ever shows me anything anime, it's always like I can't get away from the goofiness of it. But inside of the book, I love it. It's like it just works. It works. Lyndon, Ethan, some of my favorite fantasy characters of all time are in Cradle. Great animal companions, great comedic relief companions, great never give up, never say die attitude is within Cradle. So we are working our way into the final three. And here we go.
Number 3.
Expeditionary Force. Stays at number 3. Still my favorite sci-fi of all time. It finished out in December with book 17, I want to say. Maybe not book 17. It was up there. Craig put out a lot of books in a short period of time, and Joe and Skippy may have the best dynamic of any two characters. Right up. I mean, it's Bob and Harry, level, and I just love the space opera. R.C. Bray does the audiobooks, and he may be the best overall. I don't nobody does voices quite like R.C. Bray does. If you've never read Expeditionary Force or listened to, most people will tell you listen to the books. And if you like dialogue, you will love Expeditionary Force. The best dialogue in fantasy, period. And now we're on to
Number 2.
The Witcher. And this book I have not reread or read any of the books since I've been on YouTube. Since I've been on BookTube rather. And once I do a reread of these, maybe I'll change. But I've read through the book series twice, played the games for over 200 hours for Witcher 3. Watched the television series, just the whole thing. I am enthralled by the world of The Witcher. Geralt is an amazing character. Dandelion, just I love the creatures. I love the way the potions and the magic system, kind of work in tandem. Yennefer is an amazing female character in general, not just female character. Triss is, I could just keep naming great characters, and I feel like The Witcher is that it's that blend, because it came out in the 80s, kind of came out towards the end of the 80s, and it was that cross from where modern meets classic fantasy. I feel like The Witcher is that perfect blend of darker modern fantasy with still the aspects of classical fantasy. So there's only one spot left, and that is
Number 1.
The Dresden Files. If you have never seen, the only people who would ever be surprised is someone who's never watched my content or looked through my videos, because Dresden has dominated my first year on BookTube, and rightfully so, because it is the greatest book series ever written. I thought that as I went through all these other series and started really, because I've went through Dresden 5 times, and I was like, well, man, I'm I'm probably going to have a lesser opinion of the Dresden Files and Jim Butcher once I start reading all these great authors. The Stephen Ericksons, the Stephen Kings, Joe Abercrombie. As I read all these great authors, I'm probably going to think less of the Dresden Files. And it's crazy that it has become the opposite. After reading so many great books, I appreciate Jim Butcher even more. He is a master. Nobody does action scenes better than Jim Butcher. Nobody makes you care about characters more than Jim Butcher, quicker than Jim Butcher. There are book series that I have read thousands of pages of, and I could not care about hardly any of the characters, but Jim can make me care about a side character that only has 400 pages and almost bring you to tears. It is Harry Dresden is the most realized fantasy character. Nearly 20 novels worth of stories for Harry Dresden, and he is the most real character. Karen Murphy is one of the best female characters ever. Michael Carpenter is a national treasure. Nicodemus Archeleon is the best bad guy in fantasy, and I could just go on and on and on, but I've kept you all long enough. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite or your top 10, or shoot me out a quick top 5 list. If you like these books, make sure you like and subscribe, because these are the type of books I'm going to bring to you. And if you yell at me in the comments about this is your favorite book and I haven't read it, I'll get to it, I promise you. But remember, be more than human.